Now let's meet tonight's second 2014 inductee into the NAFB Hall of Fame.
I did not expect to be a broadcaster. I did have a lot of fun in college doing audio recordings with some of my friends on things you couldn't play in mixed company.
Ken Root grew up as a farm kid in Oklahoma. His parents were born just before the Great Depression. They were tough and survivors, traits they passed on to their son Ken. As with most parents, they wanted a better life for their kids than they had, so they pushed hard for their children to get an education. Ken felt pressure to excel, which led him to push against the grain. Ken was very active in both 4-H and FFA, learning to show livestock and speak publicly. Ken started college in the tumultuous 60s and admittedly had his struggles, as did many young people during those times. Still, Ken managed to get his degree in ag education and started teaching in Union City, Oklahoma. He met and married Gail, who played a big part in his career. A F5 tornado hit Union City, destroying all the churches in the town, so Ken and Gail were married in the high school gymnasium. In 1974, Ken made a major career move, leaving teaching and moving into radio and television, going to work for the man who would become his mentor, Russell Pearson.
Well, Russell was a unique individual. He was 62 when he hired me. He was a high-energy, very driven man. When he interviewed me, he had a certain set of standards, and if you didn't meet those standards, you were out. I met the minimum level of those. He then brought my wife Gail in, and we both were interviewed by he and his wife Bernice, and he hired me. And at that point, I found that I had to be there at 3:30 every morning, and most days were 10 to 14 hours. We did a lot of work in the field. We did a lot of editing work. We did on-air work. And Russell was one of the fastest moving, most energetic people I've ever been around.
With his broadcast career underway, Ken and Gail started their family. Andrea was born in 1976, and Russell, named after Ken's mentor, in 1978. Pearson retired in 1980, and KTVY was sold. The general manager canceled the farm show, and once again, Ken was on the move. A great partnership was formed when Ken went to work for Rich Hull in Wichita and then moved to the Kansas Broadcasting System in Hutchinson, Kansas to do TV. The pair launched a 2-week series called Surviving 83, all-day events held in 10 Kansas towns. Ken and Rich were getting noticed and attracting attention to the network. The team got even stronger with the addition of Mark Vail, and they formed a close bond both professionally as well as personally. NAFB has been a big part of Ken's career, and he has been a big part of NAFB's success.
NAFB has been the strongest professional force in my life. I've never missed a meeting from 1974 until now, and I don't intend to for the remainder of my professional career. NAFB is really more about the people, however, than about the profession. There are some unique individuals, very talented, very driven, great entrepreneurs in this organization, and folks that I just love as friends. We've had a lot of good times and some tough times together, but it's really made the trip worthwhile.
Ken worked his way through the ranks and served as NAFB president in 1986. Yet another career move was just around the corner. Ken left broadcast and joined the corporate world, working for American Cyanamid and moving to New Jersey. Being a long ways from home was both frightening and exciting. Ken was not only learning the ropes of the corporate world, but also developing an even more confrontational style of communication that he would soon put to good use. While leading the NARA, Ken moved the organization to Washington, D.C. A merger with NFSA took Ken's job, but opened the door to start his own business, Root Environmental Services and Root Communications, bringing his brother into the business. After several successful years, Ken and Gail moved to Kansas City, where the next chapter of Ken's career was about to begin. In 1994, Ken became the host of AgriTalk, a new nationally syndicated radio program.
Going into AgriTalk with no script, no format, and for Mark Perrin, Mark Vail, Rich Hull, Rustin Hamilton, and I to all come together and put that show into its initial form was really great fun, great pressure, but great satisfaction.
Ken's knowledgeable and at times confrontational style made him the right person to host the new show that provided a national forum for discussion of important issues to rural America. Ken left AgriTalk in 2001 and was replaced by some guy from Illinois who had long been an admirer of Ken and his work. In 2002, Ken became NAFB Executive Director, serving the organization for 3 years. But the lure of the microphone led him to WHO in Des Moines. In 2006, Ken accepted an invitation from then Secretary of Agriculture Mike Johans to accompany him to Iraq, enduring extreme heat, long hours, and enemy fire. Ken was named NAFB Farm Broadcaster of the Year in 2009, but soon after lost his job. He then moved to the Agribusiness Association of Iowa, and in 2011 helped start the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. Ken has seen and embraced a lot of changes in broadcasting over the years.
Well, I remember my father when he saw all the changes from the early part of the 20th century through 2001 when he died. My father saw a lot of changes and he was against every damn one of them. I try not to be that way. I embrace technology. I am amazed at how much change there's been from the early days when I started, when we were shooting film with wind-up cameras and it was 16 millimeter and we tore it up in strips and hung it up so that we could edit it, on to reel-to-reel tape, and then from that to cassettes, to mini disc, and now to the digital age. I don't believe that the technology really makes journalism any better. To me, it's the reporter, and it always has been. And the ability of the reporter to be able to see the story, to get the story, and to be able to put it in perspective for the audience is key. But this technology makes it so much easier to do a higher quality job and do it faster.
And Ken has seen a lot of changes in his personal life as well. Now a grandfather, Ken and Gail have parted ways after 30 wonderful years. Ken has come a long ways from that Oklahoma farm as he's traveled the world, most recently visiting Africa. He now resides in Dyersville, Iowa, with Jane Ertl. They are very active in the community and the Catholic Church. Ken produces a weekly Knights of Columbus radio program and writes a column for High Plains Journal. Over the years, Ken has informed and entertained his audiences with a unique style and talent that have earned him a spot with our industry's very best.
I can't believe that I've been selected to be a member of the NAFB Hall of Fame. We started it when I was president in 1986, and those people going in at that point and to this day have been the icons of this industry. And so I really can't believe that I'm one of those people. I'm very honored and I'm very humbled to be able to join those ranks, but I don't believe I'm deserving.
Ken, we must disagree. You do indeed belong, and you are now a member of the NAFB Hall of Fame.